Hello, everyone. This is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to the Beyond Bitcoin Show. Today is June the 15th, 2019. Strong hand. Unconfiscatable. Bitcoin is next. Bitcoin. Personal responsibility is a new counterculture. Deferral of gratification. Oh, we're going to be talking about that impulse control type of stuff today. Conviction. Avoid mediocrity. All right, everyone. Check out disruptmeister.com, techbalt.com, TECHBALT on Twitter. Yesterday's This Week in Bitcoin show. Jeet. I mean, I say you come to this channel for Bitcoin insider information, okay? Jeet, one of my guests on yesterday's show, he brought the insider information. If you know who he is, then you've got the insider information. Just knowing who he is. If you've learned one thing from watching my shows and you started to listen to Jeet on Twitter, everyone should know who he is. It just shows you how many 80%ers there are in the space that Jeet is not a star. He'll be a star one day. He was on the show with Ansel and Alex yesterday. Please check it out. It was a great time. If you have questions, again, this is the Beyond Bitcoin show, so you can have questions that go way beyond Bitcoin. We're going to talk a little Bitcoin at the start because I know some of you fiat freaks are going crazy right about now in the middle of the night. But yeah, if you have a question, type in Bitcoin Meister so I can see what it'll get colored there and I'll see your questions. All right. So let's talk about it, fiat freaks. It is, back on the East Coast. I'm in Los Angeles, so it's 10:30 here, but it's 1:30 in the morning on the East Coast. And I guess about a half hour ago, right when I was prepping this show, the price spiked to the high for the year. It's probably the high for the last 365 days. I would assume it got to $9,200. It's over $9,100. So again, for me, I'm really calm. This is the Beyond Bitcoin show. I'm not changing the show just because we're going to have days where it gets to all-time highs for the year. That's great. I am doing my show. I'm not going to make an impulsive decision and change what the show is all about. This is just another reminder. I tell everyone to have a strong hand when they're bad days. You got to have a strong hand when they're good days too. Don't sell out now. Don't panic. Will it be? It could be 6,000 tomorrow. Okay, so you can have a big smile on your face. I'm sure you're all happy. I'm sure there are great reasons for it. But just have a strong hand. What does the shirt say? Buy and hold, right? Buy and hold, strong hand. I can't even see what I got. I can't see myself right now. So anyway, be happy. But here, not that we're talking about the price a little bit. Here's a tweet from Luke BP. He says, think about all the people getting deplatformed on social media right now. Now think about what happens when those same companies also control your bank account. Now, Facebook is going to have a coin soon. Basically, they're going to be a PayPal competitor. And everyone's going to opt into it. Everyone's going to be happy. Oh, look, I can send my money. I can store my money at Facebook. And these are the same people that are like, oh, it's unfair that Facebook censors people. Hey, know what you're getting into, people. But at the same time, right now, Facebook is not a bank. But Wells Fargo, they are a bank. And they're basically very similar to Facebook and other politically correct companies out there. They'll cut you in a second if they want it to fit in, okay? They'll deplatform you. So with all of this in mind, what this guy tweets out here, why aren't more people in the Bitcoin? You should be in the Bitcoin. Don't be a no-coiner. Don't be selling like, oh, it went to 9,200, better sell and put my money back into my Wells Fargo account. Again, if you're complaining about people being deplatformed, the banks will deplatform people soon enough. Facebook will be a bank, and they've already deplatformed people. So again, stop valuing your wealth in fiat, value it in Bitcoin, try to get more Bitcoin. And there's still some people that are gonna, want to play the game with the banks and everything like that, despite what's out there. And again, this is where the big boys play. These guys aren't hiding anything from us. It's not some big conspiracy or anything like that. They're like, we don't like you, we're deplatforming you. We don't like you, we'll debank you. I mean, it's not. So you have an option. Don't be a helpless little, oh, what shall I do? I'm helpless. They bank me. No, just get in the Bitcoin and pound that like button. All right. 123 No Scope said, Bitcoin Meister, to all the fiat freaks, the US dollar price doesn't matter. 1 Bitcoin equals 1 Bitcoin. You should see how many college kids, mostly males, are buying Bitcoin right now. Think 2032 and you will win. Yeah, it would be great if some females in college bought some. But I haven't met any. Well, I did meet a female college age lady in Taipei. She was from Paraguay originally, and she was interested in Bitcoin. But other than that, I haven't. College age ladies, I haven't heard about buying Bitcoin. But hey, they can. Nothing's stopping them. Okay, nothing's stopping the college age ladies, college age, whoever you are, male, female, by getting the Bitcoin. No excuse. And we'll talk about that kind of. People trying to politicize, there are not enough ladies in Bitcoin type of thing. I think we're going to get into that in a second. I think I have that on the agenda. Who knows? All right, so moving to health, because everybody loves when I talk about the health wildness that I do here. So everyone knows that every day I fast at least 22 hours. I do intermittent fasting. But when I skip a day, when I do a 44-hour fast or more, 72-hour fast, my record's 120 hours, I plan it in advance. I tell myself, Adam, in a week, you're going to take off. You're not eating that entire day. That's one of your 44-hour fast periods, okay? And by planting that in my head, I'm totally prepared for it. So this is my body just knows. It's weird. It's the psychology. It gets my body physically ready. So I'm not even hungry on those days. And again, I've done this so many times. So I advise people, if you're going to do a longer fast, plan it in advance. Tell yourself, say, okay, on July the 1st, you are just not eating at all, and it'll be easier for you. It will be easier for you. Again, try to build up to it. Also, do some intermittent fasting beforehand. I mean, if you've never done intermittent fasting and you want to just jump right into it, be my guest. But it'll probably be easier if you do some intermittent fasting beforehand. So, but I'm sharing all of this because last night I stayed up late and I had to get up early today, take a shower and do some things. And so I did not get enough sleep last night. So you got to get your 8 hours. I took a nap today. Nap lasted a little longer than usual because I do take naps to make sure I get my 8 hours in. And because of my situation of going to synagogue every single day since November, my schedule, I've had to take more naps because I've had to get up earlier than I used to get up. And so when I wake up from my nap today, it's like I haven't done all my workouts yet. Because I'm very regimented. I do certain things every single day, and I just think to myself, you know what? I'm not even that hungry. I'm just going to skip eating today. So this is going to end up a 44-hour fast. It'll be the 21st day this year I skipped eating. 21 days. So the goal for this year, again, I set my goals at the beginning of the year, is to skip a month of eating, which is 31 days. So I've got 21 once I eat tomorrow at 4 p.m. And so that can happen too. If you've got a lot of self-control, if you've got a lot of self-discipline, you can just decide on a dime, like, you know what, I'm not even that hungry. It's late. I don't want to rush things. I want to I want to do my show at a certain time and not have just eaten and have to brush my teeth and all that stuff. So I just skipped eating. Today. You could do that too when you have that when you can just have a lot of discipline, when you have self-discipline and you practice that self-discipline with Bitcoin, when you see all the FUD that's out there and you just have a strong hand and you're like, no, I'm never going to sell, or I'm going to sell after 2021 or whatever it may be. Anyway, so I'm trying to tie in my self-discipline and impulse control. Because again, I could say, well, wait a second, now I'm really hungry. I got to eat now. No. You control those type of things. So that you can, again, so it's good to get a little extra fast in there. That's my story. Another thing I wanted to add to people, that for all you social media fans, I never delete anything. Never delete any of my videos, never delete any of my tweets. It gets you strong. It makes you have no regrets. You shouldn't have any regrets about what you post out there. And then you're pretty sure when you post something, this is what I believe. You shouldn't be embarrassed in the future. Like, oh, I got to get rid of this. No, this is what you believe. You can stand for something. Stand for something. These people who go around deleting like half their stuff, I've commented on this in the past. And then all the 80%ers, they don't even realize it. They don't realize that some of these content creators have deleted so much stuff. Again, I post a new show every day, every single day. You can see that there's been a new show every single day. Health tip, another health tip. I stand like all day. I think I've mentioned this to everyone. Standing desk. I set up a standing desk everywhere I go. And now I'm in LA now. I put this. My standing desk is basically right now. I'm describing it to you. I've got a microwave, which of course I never use. I never use microwaves. I've got it on top of the microwave is on top of the countertop, and then my laptop is on top of the microwave. And that just, for me, I don't have to bend down or anything like that. It's pretty good for a normal size male. It's pretty easy, and I stand all day. I stand. I don't sit at all. Sitting is. There have been studies that sitting is bad for you. I don't know if they're exactly 100% true, because some of the people who tend to sit the most are the most overweight also. But if you're standing, blood circulating, you're walking around constantly, there's movement, you're in motion. Oh, and we're going to talk about being physically in motion and mentally in motion in a second. But I got to tell you, I just see so many people, they walk up a flight of stairs and they're just breathing heavily, and then they just have to sit down and they just plant themselves. And they're just used to, if you get used to planting yourself all the time, you're good. You're going to end up sitting in front of TV and stuffing your face. I don't even watch TV. Pound that like button. Okay. Let me make sure there have been no other questions. No, we got a lot of people talking in the chat. Glad to see everyone's having a great time on a Saturday night at 1:40 in the morning back home, back in Baltimore, where I'm from. I don't have a home anymore. I still call it home, but I don't have a home. I mean, I travel from place to place. That's it. Don't have. I mean, I go back to Baltimore to visit the family every 4 times a year. Basically, I'm in Baltimore. That's it. Module said, Bitcoin Meister, there is a peace that comes with hunger. Once you learn to be okay with the waves of hunger when they come. Can you speak to that? Well, I don't, to me, it's not registering as hunger anymore. It's peace. Like after a 72-hour fast, your mind does calm down. And there's a certain clarity. I would say there's a certain clarity with a longer fast. And so you appreciate that clarity, and you don't really listen to your stomach at all. And you really don't desire food at that point. Now with me, I've gotten to a certain point when it's just, I'm not, 44 hours, when I'm skipping a day, I'm just totally normal. It's just, I go running. I'm going to go running tomorrow afternoon, with 40 hours of not eating. It's just totally normal for me. It's when you get to the longer ones, 72. And again, I do recommend people at least once or twice a year do these 72-hour fasts, because they say it restarts your immune system. Who knows what it does? It can only help. It can only help. These things can only help that I talk about. And you might not be able, you might not realize it right away that it did something good to you. You may never see the results. These are long-term thinking type of things. Do you live to be 100 years old? I mean, you're not going to notice that until you're 100 years old. Is it extending your life, all these fasts? You don't really know. You have to compare it to one of your siblings, and that takes a long time. God forbid. You hope that your siblings can live as long as you, but if they were not healthy and you were, then you see. Why don't I use microwaves? I like to cook food normally. I don't feel like it cooks the food properly. And there's also, it might be paranoia that it's poisoning it with the microwaves. No proof of that. But it doesn't cook it the same way as when you're in an oven over time. It's just a fast. Again, a microwave is this impulsive solution. Like, I need it now. 30 seconds, it'll be blasted. It just doesn't sound very normal. You want it heated over time. The flavors from cooking it in a pan also. It takes longer, but it's better. But the oven, inside the oven too, that the flavors. Yeah, so that's why I don't use the microwave. I don't think it cooks it properly. Don't think it cooks it properly. Anyway, but I don't. So in conclusion, 44-hour fast, I don't get hungry. I really don't. Like right now, I'm not hungry. I mean, I can, if I think about it, I'm like, well, my stomach feels a little different. And then when you start to get to those longer ones, maybe you think about food and a little bit, you get this peaceful, calming feeling. All right. Good question. Good question. It pertains to the show. Very good. So now I'm going to talk about someone that I just learned about this week. And wow, I've already learned a lot from this guy. His name is Yuval Noah Harari, and he's an Israeli, a very smart man. And he has, I linked to his videos below. I linked to a great summary of his book, one of his books, and linked to his Twitter below. And he definitely probably is liberal on some things. I definitely do not agree with this guy on all of his politics, and he's a little bit beyond politics sometimes. But then he's buddies with. He's got a video with Mark Zuckerberg. I haven't watched that one yet. So before you rip on me, oh, he's friends with Mark Zuckerberg. You can learn from this guy. And again, check him out, Yuval Noah Harari. And I linked to a summary of his book, which has all these great quotes from it. So I'm going to read you some of the parts from the summary first, so you can get a feel what this guy is about. One of history's few iron laws is that luxuries tend to become necessities and to spawn new obligations. Once people begin to enjoy new luxuries, they tend to become expected and then count on them. All right, people, that is so true. Everyone, we've got luxurious cell phones. Now, everyone must have a cell phone. Everyone must have, again, these were not necessities. And then everyone must have a cell phone, okay, but they do spawn new obligations. You have to pay that bill every year. Everyone, back in the day, there were mansions, they were luxuries. Now everyone's got a mansion. Everyone's got a McMansion. They spawn new obligations, higher property taxes, higher maintenance, more problems. And for me, part of my philosophy is realizing that and do not turn a luxury into a necessity. If you can separate luxuries from necessities still, if you are living a life where you don't need those luxuries, where you're happy without those luxuries, you're going to have a happy life and you're not going to have these new obligations. So that I'm glad he put it into great words there. At the 31-minute mark, and again, you can't count on, so many people begin to count on these new luxuries. And they need them to fit in. Don't count on them. If you don't count on new luxuries, then you're in great shape. You are minimalist right there. All right, so 31-minute mark of this video, he talks about how money works because people trust money. People trust it. And this is, if people ever, this is a reason why Bitcoin is money. People do trust money. His whole philosophy is that there's just, in life, there are many myths, there are many stories, and humans just believe stories, and that's reality. Stories make reality, and that money is just a story. It is, if you boil down to it, it isn't a real thing. It's just we have a story. Money is value. Money there's trust behind it, and that's the story we all believe. So for those of you who say that the big some people are like, oh, it's backed by nothing. No, it can become the story. People do trust it. Bitcoin is a legitimate story that people can get behind. All human cultures are filled with inconsistencies. For example, America currently values individual freedom and equality. But these two ideals don't always play nicely. What can I say? That's so true. You can't, if you have freedom, you're not going to have equality. Some people are going to do better. So two major stories in America today, there's some people screaming about, we want individual freedom. We want to do what we want to do. And that is great. I love that. I want to do what I want to do. Okay. But then some of the same people are like, but everyone's got to be equal. No, everyone doesn't have to be equal, okay? Because if you make everyone equal, then no one is free. You've got a dictator saying, you get this, you get this, you get this. No one is free. So individual freedom and equality do not go hand in hand at all. They're major themes today in America, though. I am for individual freedom, and with freedom, there's going to be a lot of inequality. All right, compete. Don't complain. Pound that like button. According to Buddhist tradition, again, I'm no Buddhist, and he obviously was born Jewish, but he's into a lot of different things. According to Buddhist tradition, the mind naturally craves more in all situations, and all suffering arrives from craving. Don't crave. I don't believe that we naturally crave more. I don't, but whatever. But it's a great point, though. Don't crave, and you'll be happy. It is an inevitable rule of history that what seems obvious in hindsight is impossible to predict beforehand. Remember that, people. For all you people saying, "Oh, well, obviously at 20,000 I sold because we knew that was the high." Yeah, in hindsight you knew that. Let me read this to you again. Apply this to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. It is an inevitable rule of history that what seems obvious in hindsight is impossible to predict beforehand. So always keep that. It's the impulsive people who try to backtrack and say, "Oh yeah, I knew, you knew, you should have known. Why didn't you predict this?" You create a long-term plan, okay? Because you can't predict the future. You cannot predict crazy things. And here's crazy things right here. There are what's this here? And again, read these quotes. They are beautiful summations of what this guy brings to the table. There are level 1 and level 2 chaotic systems. Level 1 does not respond to predictions about it, like the weather and weather forecasts. Level 2 does respond to predictions about it, like the stock market and an analysis reports about rising oil prices. The Buddhist philosophy of happiness centers around the idea that you are not the events that happen to you. This is great. But you are also not the feelings you have. You are not your feelings. I like that. I like from Buddhist philosophy right there. You are not your feelings. And you are not the events that happen to you. And if you know that, then you can know yourself. And that's I think what meditation is about. If you just sit there silently and you're like, okay, I'm not what's going on out there. I'm not the Bitcoin price going to the moon. I'm not the happy feelings that I get from that. Then what am I? Then you should think about that for a while. I'm not a meditator, but I do like that. I do like that little factoid there, or opinion, whatever you want to call it. Thus, they are just feelings. Thus, if you understand this, you can realize the needs to keep chasing the need to feel happy or to feel angry is not. Yeah, so you don't keep chasing the needs to feel happy or the need to feel, because they're just feelings. They're just feelings. They're not you. Don't go chasing those highs and stuff. In other words, you have to understand yourself. You've got to understand your inside self. All right, we're getting theoretical here. All right. And again, I discussed it's all about shared stories and myths. And and the funny thing is, this guy's got some deep thoughts. And he on YouTube, Jordan Peterson, everybody rocks this dude's world. He's got 98,000 subscribers. I mean, they're like BitConnect people have got more subscribers than this guy. It just shows you that people don't like to think. And this guy, again, there's certain people in our space who will never find out about this guy because he is liberal and he believes in some things that I don't believe in. But you should always be learning. You should always learn and be willing to learn from people who might not seem like you at all. I mean, this guy, he's really opened my mind to a lot of interesting thoughts. More people die from eating too much than eating too little. That's the world we live in today, okay? For everyone that's saying, oh, the starvation, everyone's starving. More people die from eating too much than from eating too little. So we have progressed as a society. We live in such a world of abundance. It's unbelievable. He talks about, compares humans and bees here for a second. Bees, in order to rebel against the queen, they would have to evolve. It would take millions of years for bees to suddenly start rebelling against the queen and create a whole new story, as he puts it. Humans, we don't need to change our DNA to change our story. We can, there have been communist rebellions. There have been just new ways of living lives. We can change our lives so easily by changing our stories. We don't need to evolve in order to just change the whole way we do business. And that separates us from the animals. Things are changing so fast in this world that you have to constantly be learning in life. Pound that like button. That was one of my biggest takeaways from this dude. All right. Yeah, we are living in a world where things are changing so fast. So always be learning. Not always be closing. Always be learning. Constantly be learning. And that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm trying to encourage everyone on the show to do. That's what I'm doing every week when I present this show. The topics that I find out, I tell you what I've learned during this week. If you are constantly learning, you are ahead of the game, because so many people out there don't realize that now. They don't realize they have to be constantly learning to be successful. If you're constantly learning, you're so ahead of the game, you're able to restart. People are not able to restart their lives if they wanted to. Again, reinvent themselves. You should be able to do that. You should be able to do that. Have that ability with the knowledge that you've acquired. So for success, always be learning. And again, we live in a world today where people don't want to do it. They want the government to take care of it. They want, the Andrew Yang solution, the welfare solution. I don't want to move. I don't want to reinvent myself. I don't want to learn. Just cut me a check and I'll be great. Again, that's personal responsibility is a new counterculture. You could take that lazy stance. You don't have to be, it's constantly learning is the ultimate in being in motion. And that is something that again, if you were constantly learning about Bitcoin and crypto, look at how much you could have done by now, that you would have known to be holding all this time, and your wealth would have increased by so much had you started learning about Bitcoin in 2016, even in 2016. I'm not talking about 2013 when I was learning about it. So every day I'm learning when I'm prepping for a show, in this show or the other shows. And I don't know if the masses will ever wake up to this. So we have the tools at our fingertips thanks to the internet. There's no excuses why you should not be in motion and constantly learning. And finally, well, okay, not finally. Desires become needs. I talked about that. Luxuries become necessities. And again, you're validated by the centralized fitting in narrative that we live in popular culture. That says, well, no, this luxury is now a necessity. So if you don't have this luxury, you're not fitting in. And that's what I've been saying. You do not appeal. Don't let centralized authorities validate what makes you happy, what you need. Okay. And give up that story. Give up the story of naturally expanding luxuries into needs. That isn't natural. I don't think it is natural for a luxury to now become a need, to become a necessity. If you can break away from that story that, yes, now that everyone's got an iPhone, I need an iPhone or I'm going to be very unhappy. No, be able to break away from that story and you will have more freedom and you will be a more productive, happier person. And you'll have your true needs fulfilled, okay? You will have your true needs fulfilled if you break away from the narrative that a luxury is now a need. And but again, people try to fit in and to force luxuries into being needs, and they don't. It's not a necessity. It's going to lead to more obligations, as I said before. So it used to be luxurious to be famous. It was. Look, you look at the stars. There's so few stars out there. Now everyone expects it. Everyone expects to be famous. That luxury has become a need. And that is one of the easiest luxuries that you do not need, that you need to break away from. Don't get caught up in this social media matrix where you need to be a star, where you need to put everything out there. You end up wasting all your time posting pictures, being on Facebook, arguing about virtue signaling about the president to help that you go viral, okay? It is not, it is a luxury to be famous. If you happen to go viral, that is great. Okay, great, good for you. You got famous, that's great. But it is not a necessity. But the social, what everyone is falling into, the trap that everyone is falling into, and they're blaming social media companies on it. No, it's your own fault for falling into it. You don't need to be famous. They're telling you you need to be famous. They're telling you that. Yeah, of course they're telling you that. You don't need to fall for it. It's a luxury to be famous. It is something you do not need in life. And when you get that luxury, there are more obligations, incredible obligations that make you feel pretty darn sad. And you need that hit over and over again. All right. So moving again, this is all that I just said was inspired by this dude, Yuval, whatever his whole name is. He is linked to below. You guys should watch him. And yeah, no, you'll be able to tell pretty immediately that I do not agree with everything. He is a vegan, and let's not even get into that now, okay? So there are a lot of people out there that love to scream, corporate welfare is not good. How can you complain about people getting welfare checks? All these corporations are getting welfare checks also. Okay, that's not a good argument. All right. I don't believe in corporate welfare. I don't believe in individuals getting living off the government either. Okay. But I want you to think about something real quick before you try to put virtue signal about those on welfare. Oh, they can't help themselves. They need it. They need it. I was running in LA the other day, and I ran by the Little Caesars on Santa Monica Boulevard. Okay, near East Hollywood, but between, it doesn't matter where it is. Okay, and there are these overweight people who appear to not be from our country originally, and I'll put it nicely, and they got their Little Caesars. They got tons of Little Caesars with their, and she's got her 4 kids in front of her with her Little Caesars. And this is the thing, guys. If you don't like corporate welfare, then you shouldn't like that welfare either, because it's just a delivery mechanism to get those corporations their money. It's just they're being used as a delivery mechanism. They get their welfare check and then they spend it on Little Caesars. Okay, they don't go to the supermarket because they're too late to cook their own food. No, they go to Little Caesars, and they are being used as a living delivery mechanism to get these corporations they're part of their corporate welfare. Again, some of them may get tax breaks, and I don't believe in that either. But any welfare is corrupt. It is corrupt. It is not going to be used for what it's needed. And these big corporations, of course, the virtue signal. Oh yeah, we love that people get their welfare checks. It's great. We welcome them into our stores. Of course they do. They're the delivery mechanism of our money, of the taxpayer money, to them. So that just, when I was running, I was just like, this is. But again, I opt out of the whole thing. I don't value my wealth in dollars. I'm not part of the welfare dollar machine. I am into Bitcoin. I am in the Bitcoin overlay. But hey, I comment on the stuff. I comment on it. Okay, I comment on what I see out there, and I just want to put it out there to all you people who are virtue signaling about how it's so great that you can come to this country and get checks, and then you're enriching Little Caesars. Great, good for you. Good. Pound that like button. God, LA can be post-apocalyptic, and that was post-apocalyptic to me too, in a way. To see, everyone's part of this machine. They get fat and on poisons, and we're paying for it, and they don't stop, and then they live off of. I mean, you do not want to get in that situation when then you eventually rely on the government to take care of you when you've got diabetes and stuff. But when I said I visited a fellow Bitcoiner in what was it, east of Pasadena, a couple weeks ago, and he was very generous, and he got me an Uber back here. So man, I'm getting off the highway, and because I don't do the way I got out there was by the public transportation system. But hey, if he's going to offer me an Uber, I'm not going to turn it down. A very great guy, by the way. Thank you very much for the Uber. So we're coming off the Uber. He's being told to get off the highway, and we're under the off ramp was really weird, and we're under the highway, and all of a sudden there are all these Hispanic people selling flowers, and they're like, it's just way too many of them. Like, who the heck is going to stop when you're going like 50 off of an off ramp to even do this? And some of the women were actually attractive, and I'm just afterwards I'm like, oh my god, that's probably not the only thing they sell, is it? To make extra money. It was just like it was post-apocalyptic. It was like from some movie, like garbage cans scattered everywhere. It's kind of dark. And they're just selling flowers, stand after stand after stand. And there's bums underneath there too. Yeah, man, what does the world come to? That's what was going through my head. So, hey, their story of the day. And they're hanging out under that underpass on a Sunday all day long, hoping that somebody stops and I guess gives them a $10 bill for the bouquet. I mean, can't you just buy them at a regular store? I don't know what's going on there. Okay. And I guess the women, they might, as it gets darker, they might become ladies of the night. I hope not. I mean, that's really unfortunate. People have to live that way. What I saw out there, but I mean, it's personal responsibility. If you come to this country, have a plan. Don't bet it all on getting a check from the gov, and try to live within your means. Live with it. Don't go. I mean, you don't need Little Caesars. You don't need to get you don't need carry out. I think a lot of people come to this country and they're like, oh, well, this is faster. I'll just do what everybody else is doing. I'll get the carry out. People don't know how to budget. People don't know. People are a lot of impulsivity out there. Definitely. Long-term thinking, you won't get into this type of situations. You won't be selling flowers underneath a bridge in LA while Adam is sitting in the air-conditioned Uber that somebody else paid for. I mean, that's the harsh reality of the world today, dudes. When we're talking about equality and freedom to this, I've decided I've gone my own way. I have true freedom, and people pay for me to do things. While on the other side, we have people that are totally dependent on the system and then become broke and have to do very desperate things and aren't very comfortable at all. All right, here is the Space Channel dude, Anton Petrov. I linked to him below because he's got a pretty good channel. I'm not the biggest fan of his, but he lists a Bitcoin address under there. The guy's a smart guy. He's gotten 3 Bitcoin donations. He's never cashed them out. I list his address and I list his channel. If you don't know who Anton Petrov is, he's one of the guys that does space videos that are entertaining. Module sent me $2. Cheers, he says. Cheers indeed. He says, taken to its final end, does Bitcoin take away the power from government by sheltering private wealth from taxes? Could we come to a day when governments have to woo us to donate? No, because of what I just said. There's going to be 80%ers that are going to be dependent on the welfare dollar. They will be dependent on the Fed coin. They will be taxed. Every penny they make and spend will be known. So the government will just they will be their tax slave farm. And then there will be some people that opt out and live in the Bitcoin realm, but it won't bring the government down. The government will always have its voluntary tax slaves who are impulsive, who cannot plan. And I don't know. There's a lot of people that think Bitcoin is going to just redo the way government taxes and or redo the way government is set up, and it might make it a little bit more efficient in terms of the way that it'll have a Fed coin. That's what it's going to force the government into. Is totally, and maybe not even force it into, but the governments are going toward totally monitored digital currency, social credit ratings type of stuff. So if you're in Bitcoin, you don't have to worry about that stuff. 123 NoScript said, Bitcoin Meister, certain luxuries are for the impulsive. It's crazy to think about how much purchasing power one Bitcoin is going to have by 2032, but still all I want is freedom and time and with family. Dude, yeah, value that time with your family. Seriously. Cast iron skillet, my favorite, Bitcoin Meister. Good one, Zach. That's a good way to cook. It's better than a microwave. All right. Again, when you when you get this microwave, when you get that microwave mentality, then you're more prone to get those overpriced microwave dinners at the food store instead of getting fruit, getting vegetables, getting real food. And again, don't go too crazy on fruit, but getting real food that you can cook on a hot plate. A hot plate is better than a microwave. You put your pan on it and you cook on there. It's healthy. It's great. But you get that microwave mentality. Sure, it's cheap to buy a microwave, but then you're buying more and more of these microwave meals. You're not filled. You get sick. You get cancer. It costs you more in the long run. You become dependent on the government. Hey, but you can heat up your Papa John's in there, right? Or your you could, and that's the funny thing too. It actually tastes better to heat up food in an oven than in a microwave. But the people who are still going out to eat and giving the corporate welfare to the Little Caesars of the world, they're going to microwave it. They're probably just going to toss it. They're not even going to keep their leftovers. That's how impulsive some of these people are. Nothing wrong with leftovers, dudes. Leftovers taste great the next day. And I talked about that on a previous video. But don't throw away food. Americans, even the poorest of Americans, throw away food. It's disgraceful. There's no excuse. They're poor and they throw away food that could be eaten. It's just the way of America. Again, personal responsibility. I'm not trying to vilify these dudes. They do what they do. They do what they do. I'm analyzing what they do, okay? I'm analyzing what they do. They put it right in your face, too. What did I skip here? I skipped a lot. But we were okay. We got time here. What time did I start at? We start. Oh, well, no, we don't have that much time. I talked about the Little Caesars. Sorry, guys, I lost track here. All right, here's a tweet from SHL. You can have a conversation with a few people at a time. Your blog posts can be read by thousands of people at a time. Your products can be used by millions of people at a time. Productize yourself to scale yourself. I like that. Not everyone can make products out of themselves. You should shoot that. You should shoot for that, okay? That's like the highest level of scaling yourself. But I mentioned on a few shows that people want to have conversations with you, and that's great, but you cannot go around. People always, let's have a business meeting. That's not the best use of your time, okay? Try to reach as many people with your message as possible at a time, and you'll be just more so in motion than just being in motion with one person. Again, and value your time. If someone really wants to have a meeting with you, charge them, okay? I mean, put your time is money. Time is money. But if you find yourself just all day having one conversation after one conversation after one, and you're saying the same thing, figure out a way to scale yourself, put it into blog form, okay? Like me. This way, I'm putting all my thoughts out there, so I don't have to, I'm spreading the word much more efficiently than if I was just having meetings with one people, trying to sell myself. All right, so that's an interesting tweet. And eventual goal, productize yourself. Okay. Here's a tweet from, and I'm not blaming anyone, I'm reading this tweet. Go ahead, tell me again how liberal political theory has nothing to do with this. I'm ready. And he was commenting on a article, Alone. The decline of family has unleashed an epidemic of loneliness. Okay, so I am not a lonely man, so I can look at this from the outside. Indeed, I love having a family. That is your base. You will never be lonely if you have a family. And liberal political theory has basically said, you don't need a family. You don't need family values. Do what feels good. Do drugs. Party all the time. And yeah, I party, and it doesn't bring superficial stuff. You need a base. You need a base. So I'm not scapegoating liberal political theory here. Like, again, instead of blaming, you can still have family values. You can go back to basics with stuff with real meaning, and you don't have to fit in. So I think a lot of people, liberal political theory is part of mainstream society today. It really is. And so if you say, oh, you're a prude if you're against it. So everyone tries to fit into that, and there isn't much meaning. The family has declined. They're less. People are like, oh, you should. It's all right if you don't have a dad. You just need a mom. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the Little Caesars pizza. Okay, mom. It's and the obese children and the obese mom with the Little Caesars. There's the proof. It's good to have traditional values. It's good to be healthy. It's good not to go for the adrenaline shot, but decentralized fitting in mechanisms say, yeah, do what you're gonna do. There's nothing wrong. You can continue that lifestyle forever. All right, and so many people become lonely because of it, because there's nothing. At the end of the day, you're just sitting there with your pizza getting fatter, and you have no family, you have no dad, you have nothing. Hey, choose what you're going to do. My recommendation is try to find some value, try to hang with your family, appreciate your family, and don't try to do too many crazy things, because don't be unhealthy. All right, here, speaking about unhealthy and the state. This is what I'm about to read is state-controlled industry picking favorites. This is from Maryland, where I'm from originally. Medical pot applications call for diversity. Maryland's attempt to promote diverse ownership in the medical cannabis industry has attracted more than 160 applications from firms seeking to score one of the state's 14 new licenses. More than a year after state lawmakers and Governor Larry Hogan passed a law to boost participation by minority and women-owned businesses, the Maryland Medical Cannabis Commission announces that competition will be fierce for the 4 cannabis growing licenses and 10 for processing the plant into medical products. So, okay, there's marijuana out there, and states are regulating it. They're saying, if you want to sell marijuana, we got to give you a license. Now, again, I don't know why people even mess with that stuff, why they want to smoke that stuff, do that stuff. That's your business. I don't think it's very healthy at all, okay? But in every state, all states all across the country now, they've taken charge of this industry. And in Maryland, you can get one of these licenses to sell this stuff if you are part of a minority. You're favored. I mean, how is this? This is what you get into when you're dealing with this state, okay? You get this privilege. You get a advantage over other people because you're a woman or a minority. And what it ends up happening is that regular white dudes just register their wife as the applicant. I mean, you see it all the time. So it isn't really getting more minorities in. And everyone says, oh, it's so great that I'm able to get weed now or whatever. I mean, look what you're playing into. It's a state industry. It's a government-run industry. Totally. It's totally corrupt. It's totally corrupt. I wouldn't want to be a part of it at all. I don't know how people even participate in it when the state makes up totally arbitrary rules. Yeah, four licenses will go to minorities. Right? Why? All right, and that's why I'm in Bitcoin. I don't. And again, but then there are people in Bitcoin. They're like, well, it's unfair that they're not enough minorities in Bitcoin. Well, this is where the big boys play. There's no dictator like Larry Hogan or the Maryland state legislature to say X% of Bitcoiners have got to be women or have got to be minorities. And I love it that way. That is freedom. And may the best person win. And there's nothing, as I said at the beginning of the show, there's nothing holding women back in college from buying Bitcoin right now. I hope they do. I really hope they're due. But the logic of the state of Maryland is that we need to control this industry, and the only way that there's equal representation, that certain minorities will get in, is if we seek them and give them these licenses. No, they shouldn't. If there's going to be, I believe in a world where if you want to sell marijuana, you should be able to sell marijuana. That's it. The state doesn't need to give you the permission. And if it just happens to be a certain segment of the population that chooses to sell marijuana, then that's it. That's where the big boys played, and they chose. But that's not the way marijuana is in the United States. It is the complete opposite of a free market. It is a complete opposite this way. And so many of you are like, yeah, pot stocks. It's all tied into this. It's so much different than Bitcoin. You don't have Bitcoin doesn't have set asides for minorities. Clearly in the United States of America, the pot industry has set asides for minorities. And it's completely government regulated. It's insane. And 123 No Scope said Bitcoin is where the big boys play. There are rules, but no rulers. I hope women buy Bitcoin, but virtue signalers will get wrecked in this space. That is mostly the case. Virtue signaler. Oh, wow. God, I just checked the price of BTC. God, it keeps on pumping, guys. High 9,300s for all you fiat freaks out there. Even I got distracted by that. Okay, let's talk about distractions. All you Canadians got distracted. All you ice hockey fans got distracted by basketball. Hey, congrats, I guess. Don't waste too much of your time on it. It's pretty being as I said, as a youth, I was a big sports fan. So it is a little odd that the NBA champion is in Canada. Whatever, that's how it goes. Don't worry about it too much. I see Jordan Peterson launches ThinkSpot. I don't know a thing about it yet. I didn't have time to. This is the big thing, the big maybe I hope it incorporates Bitcoin somehow. Again, instead of complaining, he's competing. So good. It's good because I'm getting so tired of all these people. Oh, it's unfair. Social media. Good. He's coming up with his own social media. I haven't seen it yet. So I want to talk about. God, we're running out of time. Ben Shapiro. It's almost an hour, which is ridiculous. Ben Shapiro weakness. I am a fan of Ben Shapiro. Obviously, I quote him a lot. I think he's right a lot. He has some weaknesses, and he doesn't like when people generalize him and say he's part of the alt-right, which he's obviously not part of the alt-right. He doesn't like when he gets put into categories that he's not part of. But sometimes he doesn't have enough time to research some things, and he will generalize people. He'll put people in the categories that they're not in, and like Molyneux. And again, I don't agree with Stefan Molyneux and everything, but we've got, and I think I linked to it below where Ben Shapiro, the video where he's putting Molyneux into because the New York Times was really ripping on Molyneux, but it was ripping on Ben Shapiro a little bit too. And Ben Shapiro is trying to separate himself from Molyneux and to an extreme where he puts Molyneux in a category that he's not in. And so Ben Shapiro has a desire to be accepted, to fit in to a group of conservatives that's not too radical. And there was a comment underneath the video, because I was not the only one that noticed that Ben Shapiro does this. I try to say it politely, but here, one person said, is this some kind of sacrifice to the left-wing mainstream you have to deliver every once in a while to get re-invited to CNN? And it's a great point. Some of the things so maybe it's due to lack of research that he miscategorizes people, but maybe it's because he doesn't want them to be he doesn't want to be in their category. He wants to be in this comfortable conservative category where he can still get invited to CNN, where he's not too controversial. So his embrace of the intellectual dark web that he gets criticized on for, I think they might have a point, that he wants this intellectual dark web to be the radicals that aren't too radical. Okay, you take it to a certain level, but you can't take it to that next level. And if people have gone beyond his level, then they don't fit in. Then he can say whatever he wants to about them. And it's a little hypocritical on his part. He's got to take a more measured approach to this, a thinking man's approach, and not want to fit in so much. I think he's really got a desire to fit in on a certain level. On other levels, he doesn't want to fit. I mean, he's a conservative Jewish guy, so he doesn't want to fit into certain stereotypes. Clearly. He's got strong beliefs. He's got things that he believes in, but you got to watch the video. And again, I don't agree with Molyneux on everything, but miscategorizing Molyneux and just making him like an untouchable, it's not a good look. But hey, to each his own. We'll see what he values, where it brings him. And again, so I admire Ben Shapiro a lot. I think he does bring out some emotionless topics sometimes. And I think some traditional conservative stuff that it isn't corny stuff. It's some really basic stuff you can learn from. But and then Molyneux, I can like them both, okay? And I don't like Molyneux that much, but there are definitely things you can learn from Molyneux too. Definitely stuff. So compete, don't complain. Again, this is I'll save this for next time. Forget. Use the Brave browser, people. Use the Brave browser. I've started using it. It's good. It's fast. It's something to try out. Okay. I got to skip all this stuff. I just want to end it. I want to end it with this real quick because we're at the hour mark. There's stuff linked to below. You're like, whoa, what the heck? The Jewish. I read this. Where did I? The Jewish sage Ben Zoma addresses this issue when it's posed in this question. Who is strong? Ben Zoma did not glorify bodybuilders or warriors. Rather, he said, true strength is found in the person who overcomes his impulses. As it says, slowness to anger is better than a mighty person. Yeah, this week's Torah portion talked about people who controlled their impulses. I'm not going to get into it, but that is why I stumbled upon this sage from back in the day. Who is strong? It's not the bodybuilders or the warriors. It is found in person who overcomes his impulses. Impulse control, people. That is strength. Do not be impulsive. Over the long term, you will be successful. Slow to anger. Don't go spastically angry on people. You will regret it. You are mighty if you can control your emotions. If you are strong, if you're not impulsive, if you do not do wild, crazy things, if you can put things off, if you can defer gratification. You don't need a high all the time. You can defer gratification. And that was what the Torah portion I was partially about this week, and what this Torah commentator brought up a long time ago. So I thought I would conclude with that even in the old days, they were saying impulse control, deferral gratification, pound that like button, they were saying. All right, study that Torah, they were saying. I'm Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Remember to subscribe to this channel, like this video, share this video, check out the links below, bang that bell button, pound that like button. I'll say hi to you guys in the chat. Bye-bye.